Every team has wants. Every team has needs. We're going to give the Chiefs what they need today on Mock Draft Monday here on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. We got a lot of work to do. We're glad that you're with us. We're brought to you today by FanDuel. Make every single moment more like today. Right now, new customers are getting $150 back in bonus bets for winning a $5 bet. That's $150 back if your bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. We are going to get started with a lot of work here today. My partner, Chris Clark, is over at Chiefs Corner. He's running down everything you need to know. The changes in the cap, what's going on, valuations, quarterback numbers. It's all there, and he's going to give you everything you need to know from the fan perspective about what this team needs to go to. I come from the coaching side. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, where the Athletic Matrix, I'm going to give you a very, very early look because of the data set is going to be up on Rogue APC in the next week or two. And then we'll have the full Athletic Matrix before we get the full draft guide, whole 9 yards. Everything you need about the draft is coming here and on NFL33.com, as well as RogueAPC.com. And then you'll see the film breakdowns over at RGR. You can find me on all of those outlets. You can find even more here, because if you're going to listen to us every single day and you're going to be an everydayer, you want to get just that little bit more, and you can do that on the text line at 816-357-8781. Thanks for making us your first listen, and make sure you use Locked On for your next listen as well, maybe even the Locked On Sports Today feed. We are your coverage for your team every single day for free on every platform, everywhere, starting on YouTube, where we would ask you to like and sub and hit the bell, and then move on to Spotify and Apple or any of your preferred audio platforms, because we're everywhere all the time for free, and that's our promise to you. That said, this is a fun one because this is kicking it off. Day one, mock one of our offseason. This is Mock Draft Monday, and you're going to get a different mock from us every single Monday until the draft. It's going to be possibly different styles. It's going to be possibly different goals. Some Chris will lead, some I will. We'll debate all of it, and we'll give you reasons for and against all of our picks. Maybe if we get something super sideways, you guys might even be able to be live with us and make some of those picks yourself as we get closer to the draft. But it all comes down to this. The combine's finally over. I'm crunching numbers. I've been up late the last couple of nights. Forgive my voice, folks. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm going to try to keep it through. And it all comes back to trying to evaluate every chance you get, whether it's the film or everything else. And it comes down to where you are on the roster. This is going to change through the offseason. But right now, we have a set of needs that we feel the Chiefs have to have. And they're pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about them a bunch, but do you want to run down just what you see as the top 3 needs for this team right now?
Top 3 needs for me: wide receiver, left tackle, and probably defensive tackle, honestly. Without Chris Jones under contract, it's going to be a big deal to get a defensive tackle or 2 or 3. Even with Chris Jones under contract, you're still needing defensive tackles. So in my mind, it's wide receiver, left tackle, and defensive tackle.
I could certainly see that. Left tackle, wide receiver are my top 2 in a number of ways. And as we go through free agency, I'm sure this will change a little bit.
Yep.
But that's where it stands right now. And the depth of defensive tackle in particular, not so much edge, but defensive tackle, I feel is pretty limited in this draft. So it's going to be a challenge to see where we go through here, folks. If you are listening on audio, make sure you go back and subscribe on the video channel over on YouTube. That's going to be everywhere that you can find us. Because right now I'm about to show you our mock draft room. And we are going to be bouncing this around. We'll experiment with which system we use this year. Right now we're going to start with PFF because they are pretty well prepared. And I've been able to pull a couple of these through, and it looks like the machine is running as you would expect. I'm going to zoom in just a touch so we can hopefully make this that much more visible here. For this exercise on our first Mock Draft Monday, we're not doing drafts, trades, that is. We're just going to go with the Chiefs picks, go through and see what it looks like as our first lay of the land in current rankings. So no trade values here. We're just going to click start, and we're going to let the players come off the blocks here, and we're going to really see what happened in the first round. And it's funny how things come across as we back up it is very much as we've talked about, quarterback, Marvin Harrison, right off the board. I'm not sure it's that order, but that's okay. Malik Neighbors comes off. Cooper DeJean, very, very high for him. I think he's an extreme talent, but I don't think he's a top 5 pick. So that's an interesting one there. Brock Bowers, Talise Fuaga, a right tackle. Don't think that that's necessarily in the cards here either. Then Roma Dunze, who I'd love to see in a Chiefs uniform. Byron Murphy, Nate Wiggins, the flying corner. Yeah, right. Nate Wiggins comes off the board. The guy had the fastest defensive 40 here in this combine at 4.28. Terrion Arnold, corner. Jaden Daniels go. Joe Alt. There's number pick 13. So those of you that are like, Trace, how are we going to get up and get the tackle that we want? There's target number 1. Pick 13 is where one of your guys first goes. As we come back in subsequent weeks, we're going to see what we have to do trade-wise.
There's no chance that they're picking in 12 or 13 because they're not going to be trading with the Broncos or the Raiders. Just going to say that right now. Right. So you'd have to get to 11 to have a chance in this example.
Dallas Turner comes off the board next at 14, followed by Olu Fashanu. Now, he is, I think, the more athletic tackle, the more pass block oriented, where I think Joe Alt is supremely well-rounded, much like his dad was. Obviously, he's a legacy in Kansas City, and there's going to be a lot of attention on him. Jared Verse, the edge rusher, comes off next. J.C. Latham, very strong, very physically dominant right tackle. I would not say that he's the pass protector the Chiefs generally want to go for, but I could definitely see them in their renewed kind of power gap blocking more these days. If they're looking to diversify their run game, they might take a look at him that way. I don't see it in the cards, but it's a tough one. Kool-Aid McKinstry comes off at 18. I don't think that's actually going to hold for very long, but that's where it sits today. Jerson Newton from Illinois, the defensive tackle, one of the few priority picks at defensive tackle, comes off. Jackson Powers Johnson, the center. Amarius Mims, right tackle from Georgia. Would like to see that in Kansas City as well. Here at 21, that might be a target for us to look at in the coming weeks. Leatu Latu comes off at 22. Quinnen Mitchell. Enos Rakestraw comes off, another corner, local guy. Then Troy Franklin comes off the board at 25. This is a bit early for him. And this is a guy that I thought might be available for us here at 32, sorry, not 23. Peyton Willis, Barton, Graham Barton, the tackle, Tyler Guyton, the tackle, I thought might be an option here. And then unfortunately, Brian Thomas, Troy Fontenot go back-to-back, 2 guys that I thought would be on the radar for the Kansas City Chiefs. And now Tyler Newman out of Minnesota goes at 31. Chiefs are on the clock. The best guy, according to PFF, on the board is J.J. McCarthy. Clearly, Chiefs don't need him. Ladd McConkey is going to be the best guy at the positions of need. What do you think of Ladd?
Man, that'd be a lot of fun in Kansas City. Everything I've seen pre-drafts or going up into this, that's awfully high for him. But he is a fantastic wide receiver, and I do think that he would give this offense something that they don't currently have. And it'd be a lot of fun having him on the roster.
I have to agree. I like what he does. Donnie Mitchell is the next on the board of the guys available, according to PFF. I actually agree with this, that I would have McConkey over Mitchell. Keon Coleman comes in after that. This is too high for him, for me. And then the next tackle available, Jordan Morgan out of Arizona and Kingsley Sumatai out of BYU. Both of them in the mid-40s ranked. This is the scenario the Chiefs could get into, where their first-round picks or first-round grades are off the board at tackle, and they have to look at the wide receiver position. I think that's what they have to do here. Do you agree? And if so, who would you take?
I'm really curious. I don't see Worthy on this list, so that means he's much further down, I'm guessing.
He is. I believe, yep, he's at 66 according to PFF. I actually have him and Donnie Mitchell basically flip-flopped. I have Mitchell in the 50s, and I have Worthy 38-ish, I think, on my big board right now. He's going to get a bump because of 40 at the combine ever, but he didn't do anything else. He didn't show you change of direction. He's very, very thin, almost to the point of being frail. Like, I have a comp for him that I don't think is very flattering. So you tell me what you think of him, and then we'll make this pick.
Let's hear the comp. I'm curious. He's thinner than Devontae Smith was, and Devontae Smith has had very few injury issues. I mean, a couple injury issues, but not anything that's been huge in the NFL. But that's been a question mark for him, and it's going to be something that you ask when it comes to longevity.
Yeah. And when I look at him, I worry about Hollywood Brown comparisons. And that's exactly why, the longevity and the injury history. So I'm open to suggestion here. The best player, I think, in terms of having impact in the Kansas City Chiefs offense is Xavier Worthy. But I'm open to suggestion here. What do you want?
Man, it's really hard for me to say anything other than Ladd McConkey at this point. I understand that this could be a little bit overdrafting, but you're not going to get first round talent at 32. You're just not. You're going to be lucky if you're going to be getting your top 2 or 3 that are in the second round at 32.
You're absolutely right. So we're going to take Ladd McConkey. We're going to come back and get to this particular scenario in the next evolution on the backside of this break here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers, you get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet right now on FanDuel. That's $150 if your bet wins. Super straightforward and simple. Bet all your favorite NBA players with the teams that you're looking for, whether it's quick bets, same game parlays, exclusive props, and everything else under the sun. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot today. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon at FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA and the NFL. If you want more and you want 24/7 coverage, check out the Locked On Sports Today feed. I think you will enjoy it. I certainly do. You'll see us on there from time to time. There's going to be a lot of mock drafts going all over the place. These will certainly make it. So we are back with Ladd McConkey under the belt. This is the Chiefs roster as it exists today. We go back to the draft board to check what comes next. And as the picks have rolled off the board, Jordan Morgan did go. Coleman, Bo Nix finally goes. Sumatai goes. We have a mixture here. Some quarterbacks. The second tight end, Jatavian Sanders, goes off the board. Roman Wilson, the receiver. Darius Robinson. I know a lot of folks are looking for D-line help. Darius Robinson, I do believe, is a D tackle. In a pinch, could go out to edge, but I do like him at tackle. So for you Mizzou fans, that's where he goes off. Jalen Polk, my guy that I am hoping we can figure out a way to wrangle, goes off at 56. We come back with Jalen McMillan gone as well, and Blake Fisher. And this is where we're at.
Who's still on the board?
I wonder who that would be. Who catches your eye the most? This guy. Now,
it's really hard. I mean, you're sitting here. That was the worst position for the Chiefs by far this season. And you go back to back with those two. I think you changed the entire dynamic of this roster.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And just so we can zoom out just a little bit here, folks, Xavier Worthy is the top wide receiver on the board according to PFF at this point. Tez Walker out of North Carolina is next. Johnny Wilson, the wide receiver they list him at, I think is a tight end in the league. I think he's a Jody Fortson scenario all over again. They will, if the Chiefs were to select him and get a chance to, I would not be offended to convert him much as they did Jody Fortson. I think that is in the cards. Followed by Xavier Legette. Jamari Thrash, I do like him as well. But what you're seeing here is, again, with the top two needs on the board, no tackles in sight. And this is the scenario that I fear the Chiefs will fall into moving forward and just having a tough time. Patrick Paul is the next tackle that I would consider here. I do think he has the athleticism. He has a lot of room to grow as well. I see him as kind of a Eric Fisher type. Athletic lower body, needs to develop some strength.
But does he fit a second? Is he a third round pick? Because basically you're picking in the third round with where the Chiefs are. So is he a third round pick in your mind, or is he a fourth round pick? Because if he's a fourth round pick, maybe you wait.
No, he's a day two guy all day long. I don't think he makes it to day three. So he's definitely there.
Well, obviously, day two could still be third round.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's a third round or better guy.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm with you.
So tackle-wise, it's getting a little thin. Now, I'm all for bringing a jack onto the roster. Dominic Pooney's still out there, and he can play 5 positions. I could see that happening later. He's listed 108 here, so I don't think that we have to rush for that. So the question is, do we double dip at weapon and go get Xavier Worthy anyway? Since this is not a realistic affair to me in the real world, we might as well take advantage of it, right?
I don't know how you can't. Patrick Mahomes was talking about Xavier Worthy's 40 time. I mean, when QB1 says something and was watching, to me, yeah, I think that's a no brainer, and that gives you your speed to back over the top.
Yeah, you want to fix the wide receiver room? Well, you're fixing the wide receiver room. You're giving
It's
it plenty of options here. It is. As we go through and we get to the third round, and we're trying to get through a 7-round mock today for you guys. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell and become one of the everydayers. Austin Booker from KU goes off as well. I'm trying to call out the local guys as much as I possibly can, everybody. Xavier Legette goes about the same place where he was ranked. Johnny Wilson as well. Braylon Trice is my sleeper edge guy. Long, strong, produced the most pressure in college football in the last 2 years running. He is a Spags type guy, and if they get stuck at 64, I do think he is a possibility there as well, just to back that up. But now we get into where we have some more pressing matters. There's the linebackers available here. I like Liufa from Notre Dame. I do like Eichenberg. He is undersized. I don't think he would play for Spagnuolo, so I don't think that he's a realistic option here. There's Cade Stover. We've done enough with the wide receivers. As much as I think Cowing might be interesting, we're not going there.
So you did like the guy, the tackle before? There's one that you went past.
Oh, did I?
Matt Goncalves.
Goncalves,
sorry.
I have him lower down than both Paul and I believe the next tackle, Pooney, that are on here that would be available.
I think Paul's already been drafted, but fair enough.
So that's kind of where I sit. Christian Jones is the wild card. I haven't done enough work on him yet to feel very comfortable with where I have him. 119 is certainly within range. I think he'd be higher than that. I think he'd be in the early hundreds. But at 96, in reality, I could see going for that too. So have you seen, or do you have a differentiator for either of these?
I don't. My big question would be is when you look at the roster, you need left tackle where you need somebody that can step in and be the swing if you're going to run with Morris as your left tackle. So in that thought process and that state of mind, who do you think fits?
I like what you have in Pooney in being able to help support. It would be a competition for Wanya Morris. It would not be a replacement. So I don't see anything here that's going to be a day one starter no matter what. So I'm open to that. I don't see much on the D line here as well. So I do think we are on the right track. So if I had to just pick, I would probably take my bet on Christian Jones being a pure tackle than Pooney being a guy who's probably going to play on the inside or maybe even snap eventually.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we get that done. The Chiefs have addressed their top two needs. Took 3 picks to do it, but they got to that point.
Not only did they address their top 2 needs, they addressed wide receiver, which is probably 2 in the top 5, I would say.
Agreed. And then we get to day 3. We are at the point in the show where I think it is best that we're going to put those together. Chiefs don't have as many day 3 picks as they usually do. So when we get back, we're going to go over where can they really shore up the roster and give themselves the best option to improve this roster going into next season for not just their big needs, but from the roster on the bottom up. That's coming up next on the Locked On Podcast Network.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's the first thing you do if you had an extra hour in the day? What is it that you would do? Would you go and read a book? Would you go out and take a walk? What is it that you would do if you had extra time in your day? One of the things that is awesome about BetterHelp is it gives you the ability to work through the thought processes to figure out what you would do in that situation and figure out what you can do to get yourself that extra time. A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. The question is time for what? If it was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/lockedon. BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
And as we have work to do, make sure you check out the Locked On Sports Today feed. It is 24/7 and has all of our biggest shows and biggest news on there. I think you guys will really dig it, and you'll see us on there some as well. Make sure you like and sub and hit the bell here on this channel as well. As we return, we're at pick 133 for the Kansas City Chiefs. We have 5 to do here, so we're going to go rather quick shotgun style. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, defensive interior. Certainly the Chiefs are going to have to do something in free agency. They're going to have to shore it up in this area as well in the draft. A couple of options stand out here to me. Nothing that has to be done immediately, in my opinion. I think Jalen Harrell's completely underrated here on this list. 200 in his ranking. I don't believe that for an instant. Grayson Murphy is listed as an edge. He is the twin brother to probably the better. I would put Grayson underneath him, but Gabriel's a good edge rusher. Grayson was a combine snub. Very productive across from Leo to Latu. And I do think he is an option here. Tyler Davis, Clemson interior player, Mekhi Wingo interior player, Miles Murphy interior from North Carolina. Those are the guys that I think are options at this point, at this position group. Are you happy with that, or do you want to open it up? I think tight end is a possibility.
Give me an interior player that has some pass rush. Sanaa would be interesting just because it's a local.
Yep.
Yeah, and I figured that was going to be the case.
Yeah, pass rush is hard to find here. Now, there are several backup tight end types that I like here available. And Sanaa is the guy from K-State. Had a good Senior Bowl, caught pretty well. I wouldn't say he's a burner, but I thought his combine was successful for him. He's an option here. My guy, Dallin Hooker, ran slow. I'm not sure what happened to him. I do believe he had some kind of lower body issue because I didn't get enough readings from him. So I expect his pro day, and I will hope to be at the Colorado State Pro Day to give you guys more updated information. Theo Johnson ran well as well. So in terms of like getting someone else to help Travis Kelce out, I think there's options there. You could even go Barner from Michigan, who I think had a decent Senior Bowl trip as well. So where do you want to go? We've been very heavily on the offense so far.
Yeah, I think you have to go interior defensive line or pass rusher. And I know people are going to hate that we've taken an edge the top 2 picks for the past 2 years. Well, one of them, I guess, obviously had McDuffie as well. But I think that you have to look at edge or interior. And if you can't find an interior player that has any pass rush that can help there, then I think you have to go edge.
Yeah, the edge group doesn't look terribly promising to me. Grayson would be my pick there. Grayson Murphy, UCLA. But I don't know that he's ready to contribute. So if we take a look at the defensive interior guys, again, not a ton standing out to me. Randolph, I think, is serviceable, but you can get him in two rounds from now.
Okay. Outside the box, what do they have at guard?
Let us have a look. And for those of you following along, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because you can see us do this. Very heavy on center here. Cohen from Miami. Hansen from Holy Cross is an easy mover. Level of competition is not there to really compare to. He would be a developmental guy, in my opinion. Charles Turnell, I do like him from LSU. Great level of play, but I don't think he's ready to step in and be a contributor yet. So with Cooper Beebe on the scorecard here, if you really think that interior offensive line is something that could be useful, Cooper Beebe's the guy here. It's not very close to me at all.
I would go interior offensive line because you have an issue with one. Trey Smith has only got 1 year left on his deal. Joe Tooney is getting older and is coming off an injury, and Nick Allegretti is also injured. So to me, I would keep the interior offensive line stocked if you don't like the interior defensive line or DNs.
Cooper Beebe's a great guard, and I think it's a good fit. And like you said, it's situationally pertinent. So we'll make that selection. We are now on to 158 for the Kansas City Chiefs. And now it's really interesting where some of the best players available are running backs. And you guys know how I feel. I wouldn't take a running back until this point in the draft anyway. And so now it starts to become an option. There are also tight ends available.
Barner, I was going to say Barner's still there.
Yep, Barner from Michigan. I think he can be crafty. Gene Bell is out there as well still.
I'd take one of the tight ends and run.
Yeah, okay. Do you have somebody in particular? Because if not, I'm coming back for Dylan Lobb from New Hampshire.
Take him if that's who you want. Go ahead.
No, it's still too early for running back. So I'm down with AJ Barner. National champion coming in to help support and back up Travis Kelce. I like that plan. I think he's functional as a blocker. I wouldn't say it's a strength. So we dropped down to 172, the Chiefs' next pick. Jaheim Bell is still there. A lot of those running backs have gone off the board. Ryan Watts, the corner, is very intriguing. He's got some speed to burn. Local favorite, Cody Schrader, the running back, is available here. Who else are we seeing? Rosengarten, backup right tackle.
Who's got the length on corner? You said something about a corner.
Yeah, it's Watts from Texas. I think he would be a solid choice here. Where'd he go? Yeah, Ryan Watts. If we take a quick look, I do want to say he came in over, 6'3". He definitely has the length and the size, somebody that could work in and be another depth player that could come up underneath Josh Williams and Jalen Watson and try to learn some. I think that's a solid pick there.
Well, and the other thing I'm looking at is that we do not know what's going to happen with Snead at this point. So I'm figuring that they're going to be moving on from him just based on the way things have been going. So I wouldn't mind a corner. Not saying it's an absolute need, but if there's one that's there.
Just keep stocking the cupboard, right?
Yep.
I think that's fine. Ryan Watts, welcome to Kansas City.
And the thing that I like about that is that the Chiefs know exactly what they're looking at the cornerback room. So if they go out and get a guy, I feel pretty good about him being successful at some point.
Fair enough.
Frank
now we
Gore
get into
Jr.
I knew you were going to go for that right away.
No, I just saw the name. I just was like, that's interesting. It's amazing to me because it just seems like he was just playing last year, although it's been several.
Yeah, fair enough. We're now at 210. Late in the draft, and now this is easily running back options here. Tyron Hopper, the Missouri linebacker, is still available as well. Bortolini, I think, is one of the better centers in the league. I'm surprised he's still available here. Say that's crazy. Jalen Ford is an athletic linebacker, could come up and maybe contribute as well, especially if Willie Gay doesn't return. You need a fifth there behind Cam Jones, who I expect will be the fourth if Willie Gay does not return. Mayan Williams from Ohio State, another running back available. I personally love Jordan Whittington. He is a underneath possession, hard worker type guy on the wide receiver position. I'd like to try and come back and get him at 250. I don't know that he'll be there, but I'm just going to put it out there.
on top of Lad McConkey?
Yep, on top of everyone. At this point, we are never going into a season the way we went into last season again, are we?
Yeah, that sure doesn't look that way.
Okay, so Frank Gore Jr., we don't need the interior lineman. Mayan Williams, Jalen Ford, I could go for Tyron Hopper.
We focused a lot on offense. To me, I think you have to try to give it some defense. So if Hopper's a good enough linebacker that you think he could eventually play in the NFL and be a starter, I'm not saying like a high-level starter, but somebody that could step in and start, I think that's the way you go.
I think he can play teams. So, hey, Mizzou fans, you get a Tiger. Here you go. Now we're dropping down to 250 for the Chiefs' last pick in their current configuration. Let's hope that my guy Whittington is still available. Keep your fingers crossed. We got a long way to go. It's a 40-pick drop, and we get there, and my guy is toast, and he is long gone. So it leaves us with a few options. Trey Knox didn't have a bad combine. Athletic enough to get by. South Carolina tight end. Who else stands out to me? Kenny Logan Jr. Nice to have a Jayhawk on the roster. We got a Tiger on the roster. Why can't we? Oladapo from Oregon State had a decent Senior Bowl, but I'm not sure that his testing was there. Same thing with Edifon Olafosio from Washington. Their starting middle linebacker. I believe he called their defense last year as well. Let's see. As we scroll down. Zion Tuapololo-Fetu is the ZTF, they call him. He's the guy who played opposite Braylon Trice at Washington and can get pressure, but he's a developmental guy. Much reminds me of a speedier FAU. Would be another guy in the background developing behind with B.J. Thompson, that kind of thing as an edge. Who else?
Sam Hartman. Look at that.
Yeah. Hey, old Sammy ran a 4.8, fastest guy at the combine at the quarterback position.
Jeez.
Didn't expect to have to say that. We just call him Sunshine, but it's okay. I don't know. I'm tempted here to just kind of like be a homer and take Kenny Logan at the safety position.
The big question is can he play teams? Because that's exactly what you're going to be picking at 250 is a guy that needs a team that can play in the teams.
And he absolutely can. You good with that? Can I force one pick here?
Force it.
Sweet. Kenny Logan Jr., welcome to Kansas City. Oh, wait, you just live down the street. Awesome. So as we wrap up, folks, bit of a speed round, trying to do 7. This is our first time out. We're going a couple of minutes over, but thank you for bearing with us. We appreciate you. In the end, we end up getting Ladd McConkey to address the wide receiver position. It allows Rasheed to maybe play outside a little bit more. We come back, and hey, lo and behold, the fastest guy in the draft is there at Xavier Worthy. Fastest guy in any draft. Let me be honest there. Faster than John Ross was. So we addressed the wide receiver twice.
And how tall is he? Sorry.
78 inches. I don't know. That's not very much. That was my point. I want to say I think he came in at 6'0", I thought. I'll have to check that. I could be wrong.
And 165, if I think I saw that right, that's pretty thin for that height, but
it
fair enough.
Definitely is. We come back third round with Christian Jones, his teammate. A guy that is clearly a developmental tackle would come in as a swing option, try to push Wanya Morris. He would be your starter unless something is going to get done in free agency. Fell into our laps. So we took Cooper Beebe, maybe a top 3 guard in this draft. Lasted until the 4th round, so we were not going to let that pass us by. We took advantage there. A.J. Barner, Michigan tight end, got to back up Noah Gray and Travis Kelce in order to try to see if he can get some development out of him. And then a sizable, good length Ryan Watts, who ran pretty well at this combine as well at the cornerback position to kind of bolster the depth there. Come back with Tyron Hopper, the Mizzou linebacker, gives some depth there behind Cam Jones and the crew. Then we end up with a Jayhawk, Kenny Logan, junior, who can end up being depth, if nothing else, and playing some teams for this roster.
8 picks, 6 of them are former Big 12 programs.
So I got to type. What are you trying to say?
Well, in Texas and the Longhorns are definitely type in this draft as well, obviously.
Well, they're SEC now, right? So is Mizzou.
Well, that's true. I'm just saying. Well, I said former. I didn't say current.
Fair enough.
But
so actually, we took other than the Michigan tight end, the local kids in Jayhawk and Wildcat. We took all SEC players. Hey, not too bad for a day out. And we got 3 local guys. I'll take it.
There you
Folks,
go.
We'd love to know what you think. Let us know in the comments below. And we'll try to do this a little bit quicker as we move forward here. Trying to get 7 in the first time was a very much a good task to attempt. And I'm glad we got a couple of things done. I'm not sure that this is the most realistic draft, but we're going to see what happens here in the coming weeks. So thanks for being with us. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell. You can see more over at Chiefs Corner with all Chris's analysis. Get on rogueapc.com. You're going to have the athletic matrix, at least the base version, the one because the data set is not complete. A lot of guys didn't run at the combine. We're going to have to wait for pro days. But I'm going to get you some of that early. You can get on NFL 33 for all my breakdowns, my takeaways, and guys that you need to watch and understand. A lot of growth going on there. It's a great time to be interested in the draft because we got 53 days, I believe. And then your newest Chiefs are going to be on this roster and ready to start going for that three-peat. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for staying up late to get this done here tonight, Chris. I appreciate it. Everyone have a great Monday. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you then.